Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. I am joined as ever by a very special guest, and I will be feeding the food they think they love and the food that they think they hate. And of course, as ever, I will be blindfolding them. But who is today's special guest? Well, he first came to our attention by teaching us how to use a computer. He policed a bridesmaid. And quite frankly, the man's list of credits is endless. But he's here to talk about his fantastic new show. Will you please welcome Chris O'Dowd?
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here.
Absolute pleasure.
And it is a tremendous shirt.
Thanks ever so much.
The Labrador shirt is epic.
He's just sneakily peeking over the reeds. Can you see
He
him?
is. He's sneakily peeking over the reeds, but is he about to savage a duck?
I'm hoping that he's got some kind of murderous thoughts in his mind
yes.
to keep him alive.
Yes, exactly. Well, look, it's fantastic to have you here. We are talking about your new show at some point. But let's kick off. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning, which is relevant actually to the show as well. Your birth in Boyle, Roscommon.
Oh, wow, yeah. I was at it.
I mean, you are what I would describe as a proper Irishman. If you look back, I mean, reading the notes and all that kind of thing, it's like you played Gaelic football, you came from a large family, you were punished by your sisters. I mean, it's a true Irish story, raised as a Catholic. It's a true Irish story come good, isn't it?
Connacht is such a, it's its own, they used to say to hell or to Connacht, in terms of when the plantations were happening and Cromwell was coming over. There's like, they'll take everything, but they won't take Connacht because the land is so infertile. And it's all rockiness. And so that's kind of
Rocks and bogs.
Lots of bogs.
Rocks and bogs.
Lots of cut and turf. And so it does definitely have a very traditional age.
Did you grow up with a peat fire in your house? Did any relations have a peat fire?
Oh yeah, we've peat fires still. I mean, say nothing.
I
Say
know,
nothing.
but-
It's illegal these days now.
I know.
But you can still, I think, use it personally. But all of my mother's people grew up on bogland, up and around Knockficker, which is 7 miles out of town, and so a lot of them are still there. So you walk through bog all the time.
But it's got a particular aroma to it. Those who don't know what a peat fire is it essentially people dig something out of the earth,
Yes.
dry it out, and then burn it.
Yeah, it
And it
looks like
burns
turf.
forever.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
essentially what it is. Where it's like,
It looks like
just
turd is what it looks like.
It is, and they used to burn that too.
Yeah, no,
That used to be the little.
that's got a certain other aroma there. Burning turd.
But no, it's gorgeous.
It is. It very much reminds me of my grandparents.
Yes.
And my childhood, where because of my slightly wayward ways, I was every summer send him there.
Yeah.
So I worked on farms in Tulla in County
The problem that
Carlow.
they had is that you saw the turf.
Yeah.
And you thought that looks like a big brick of hash.
Big hash. I'm laughing, and it turns out that isn't what it was. And I had to walk around in slurry.
Oh yeah.
And feed cows silage.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
That was the thing. But yours wasn't a completely rural community.
No, I'm kind of on the outskirts of quite a small market town. My mother's still there and father. And it was great, man. We had a field across the road. You'd wake up hearing cows mooing and stuff. So it felt like you had space. It does give you, even in this little kind of house with 7 of us in 3 rooms, it's kind of, it's...
Because it was 2 brothers.
1 brother and 3 sisters.
1 brother, 3 sisters.
Yeah.
And you were traumatized by your sisters.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, they played tricks on you.
Look I think when you've got teenage sisters who are dealing with teenage boys, when they have a brother 3 years younger than them, I'm sure they're like, how do we get revenge on this one single-celled organism? This little thing, what can we do to it? And there was probably a little bit of that, but it was great. Like, we get on. It certainly taught me a lot.
But this boy from Roscommon, and he becomes this international star.
But
And it's only you and Maureen O'Sullivan who played Jane in Tarzan opposite Johnny Weissmuller.
yes,
I mean, that's other than, I think there's an abbey, a lodge house, this kind of thing that it's famous for. But other than you two.
The the third oldest Cistercian monastery in the world, my friend.
Sorry. I didn't
It
mean
does
to.
give you a sense of history. Like, so the bridge that I
But the
walk
Irish
over.
do love history.
Yes.
My father loved his history. You obviously love your history. I do as well. It's something about roots, isn't it?
There's that. I think it gives you a perspective on the world in a way that you can deal with it better. And I think that's why people are drawn to it.
But do you think it's also, with the Irish, a defence against people's perception of who they are as a race? It's like they're all a bit tick, and it's not. And you can
I've never experienced that as a thing. I remember.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, but I'm older than you.
Yeah, considerably.
Yes.
I think that there was a big change. That you'd be the same age as my brother, right?
Yeah.
And so he would have came to London in the same way that I came to London and worked on a site at a different time. Now, the change in the perspective of the Irish changed in that 10 years.
In that period.
Massively.
Definitely.
And so I never really encountered. I don't think I've ever encountered.
No, but I think the difference is some Irish people got rich, and that changed. What they didn't realise is they'd actually been getting rich for years, building all the roads and doing all of that. So, but that kind of that Celtic tiger period changed people's perception of the Irish. And I've had a number of our fellow countrymen on, and we all agree it's the best thing to be now. But when my dad came here, we're either tarmackers or terrorists, and people couldn't differentiate. And that's what's interesting about the new show, is it's sort of set in that border country, and that you sort of touch on that in the show. But where I want to go first is your favourite childhood memory. Now, we are in Mayfair, so we've got a Mayfair take on it, which is rhubarb crumble. But this is a tart with a rhubarb sorbet.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Now, what I want to know is that I won't blindfold you yet, but have a spoonful of that, and tell me whether it brings back that kind of childhood thing. Because that looks.
Doesn't it?
I'm actually going to have some of this as well, because that looks very good. Because not everybody loves rhubarb.
God, you get it instantly with that. It's so lovely and tart, isn't it? It's a tart.
Tart.
Favorite kind of tart.
Custard tart. That's Jamie Shears and the team there. That's actually,
that is really
that's actually on the menu here at the moment.
Is it? It's delicious.
It's delicious.
I can see why. Yeah.
But I saw that.
You get the crumble in the bottom. You see.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically posh rhubarb crumble. Who isn't going to want that?
That's absolutely delicious.
But
it's so light.
But childhood-wise, it was a happy childhood.
Yeah.
You wasn't kind of in that somewhat Irish tradition of misery.
No, and I think that people only think of it as miserable retrospectively. And I remember it really fondly. I remember it being fraught and messy and all of those kind of things. But I remember it being really lively. There was loads of music in the house. Dad is really arty, and so there was lots of art and painting and all that kind of creativity. And my uncle was a musician, so there was a lot of that. And then my mother was a therapist, so there was lots of chatting.
Which is quite un-Irish, because one of the things about the Irish is they don't, I was really interested in your mum's career choice, because not a lot of call for it, because they don't like to talk about emotions. The Irish. They will write a poem about it, they will write a piece of prose about it, but if you go, how are you feeling? Sure, I'm grand.
Yeah.
While their world's falling apart.
No,
because it's all about how you look and come across.
Yeah.
It's a very, they don't talk about stuff, do they?
I think that's traditionally true. I don't know. I always try and. Ireland's tricky because you can talk about something feeling like it's an Irish thing or a non-Irish thing, but a lot of it is repression from the church or repression from our neighbouring state. So is it necessarily that we don't talk or we weren't allowed to? So I don't know if it's. I would say that the Catholic Church really didn't want people talking about what was going on ever. So keep it to yourself. And I will say that the kind of slight decline in the numbers going to church as the numbers rise in therapy is interesting.
Yes. No, well, I think, but I mean, your mother, given her generation, was a bit of a trailblazer in terms of Ireland with that. I would feel,
There
knowing,
wasn't many therapists in our area for sure.
yeah, but like, knowing how my parents were around that kind of thing, so I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I mean, it was a sort of Irish version of the British thing of keep calm and carry on.
Yes. I have noticed though, we've just come back from London. Do you think that the British still do the keep calm and carry on thing? I see it on
No, it's
TikTok.
the tea towel. It's basically a tea towel now.
Because they seem to be behaving the complete opposite to
Well, I mean,
most
they're all
situations.
triggered by something, and everybody has PTSD.
I think the keep calm, carry on thing, that's
It's
50 years ago.
Oh no, but they, the British and the Greeks
It seems
are still.
extraordinarily reactionary.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that they like it. There's an enjoyment of empirical thinking. You get that whiff of that kind of thing
I think
still.
maybe it's an instruction rather than a suggestion.
But talking about being properly Irish, I mean, you played Gaelic football to quite a good level. I mean,
I guess,
you're- as my father might have said, he goes, "Sure, you're a big long drink of water," but you're a big guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and essentially that's all you need to be a decent Gaelic footballer. Now, to be a good, kinda, because it's quite a physical sport and there was loads of catching and all that kind of stuff. I was very tall growing up.
But you obviously have good hand-eye coordination.
I was a decent enough footballer. I loved it. I love Gaelic football. And
Because it's not, what people who don't know, it's not just about your feet.
no, it's kind of like, in a very basic way, it's like if you were to combine rugby and soccer together, it would be kind of something like that.
Yeah. Sort of
Like Aussie rules. It's very, very
it's
like
an
Aussie rules.
early version of Aussie rules.
Well, yeah,
because
but
it came way before Aussie rules.
Well, for sure. Well, they will be brought it to Australia.
Yeah.
But they play, Australia and Ireland play each other every 2 years
Yeah.
in a combined rules game, so it must be close enough.
And what about you never wielded the stick?
No, we just didn't have a club. Knowingly, it's not a thing that they have. Like, Roscommon would not be a hurling stronghold. And I regret it because it's such a gorgeous sport to see.
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing about hurling, which is it's very popular in counties where there is a big estuary. Because it would have been a sport that would have come via the Vikings and Shinty.
Yes, of
They
course.
needed longships, so it's
Showing
Kenny.
your historical chops again there.
Maybe. But yeah, it's gorgeous sport.
So, happy childhood. You get through school, unlike me, and you go off to study sociology and philosophy, and was it psychology?
Politics.
Politics. Sorry,
Politics
I knew it was a P.
And sociology
Yeah,
and
I was right with the sociology.
Greek and Roman civilization. And that was grand.
That's a nice mix.
Enjoying that. Hadn't done any, I think I had done like a musical in school, but that wasn't part of, I don't know what I wanted to do, which was why I ended up doing all of those fairly unrelated.
Yeah. Bit like my brother. He did philosophy and psychology because he didn't know what he wanted to do.
And it's not a terrible reason to do something.
Yeah.
If you're going to go, if you don't know what you want to do, let's study something that talks about thinking is kind of probably quite smart. But I started doing plays in college, joined the drama society, met all these kind of other outcasts and had great time with them and really spent most of my college years doing that.
Yeah, but that was University College Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a good school.
Good school.
James
Joyce went there, all the goods.
No, I mean it's not for an Egypt.
No, loads of smart, it's the biggest college in the country.
Yeah.
So it's it would be considered, or had been considered, it would have been considered the Catholic college at one time, because Trinity would have been considered the Protestant one.
Yeah. Cool. But we won't dwell on that. But then you stumble by accident, almost, into acting. It's kind of a hobby, and then you end up in an audition.
Yeah. I was hanging out with a couple of lads from home, and they had bumped into a lad, and he was going to audition for this play. And I thought that was silly, and I was taking the piss out of him. Because I was probably still a bit of a jock at that point, still playing football and all of that. But I went to give him moral support or take the piss, and they were short on numbers, so I
It's a
ended up
blend
joining.
of both if you're Irish, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And somewhere in there is warmth.
Yes.
And anyway, they were short on numbers, and so I joined this game, and then I just kind of ended up getting a part in that play and just loving it.
So you then come to London,
Yeah.
you go to Lambda,
Yeah.
and you're working as a hod carrier to pay your way through,
Yeah.
which is, it's not a weak person's job, that.
No, tough enough work that in the winter.
Yeah. Because, I mean, those who don't know, I mean, I don't think, do you have hod carriers anymore? I mean, surely
I
they
would
just
say so.
crane it up, don't they?
Maybe, but you need to, you have to have a flat base and things. Like if you're going to get a crane, you've got to make sure that you will have had to render something part of the bottom of the building first. So early days, you still need a hod carrier going up and down the ladder.
But
me and some Russian lad.
older viewers and listeners will remember there was a character here in the 70s called Super Hod, and he was a man who became famous as a hod carrier.
Oh wow!
And he was the biggest and the best hod carrier. So whenever I see hod carrier, I always think of Super Hod, who was this sort of magnificent, sort of tall, strong, curly, blonde-haired guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had a Rolls Royce with a gold angel on it because he was so successful at hod carrying.
I didn't get the Rolls Royce.
No.
But I did find myself I allowed myself to have as many builder breakfasts as I want.
Yes.
And
Well, you could do. I mean, going up on a ladder with, I mean, what is it? 200 pounds of bricks on your shoulders?
I mean, I don't know if it would be that much, but it was heavy as And honestly, when it's January and you're going up and down.
Have you got any long-term skeletal problems as a result of that?
I have the posture of a broken chair.
But that, like you say, that paid your way through. But I was wondering if it was at that point doing such a sort of manly physical job that you got to the point where you discovered this was your chocolate of choice, the Yorkie bar.
Yeah.
Because that's do you remember how that was promoted when it first came out? It was a man's chocolate. It was mainly associated with truckers.
That's right.
It was the trucker's choice of chocolate. And it's still yours to this day.
I still enjoy a Yorkie. I had one the other day, yeah.
Would you have a Yorkie now? Would you crack that Yorkie now?
When I look at it now, it's interesting. Oh, I had one of these like 2 days ago. Yeah. But
well, look, we've got another two for you. You can
there's a reason at all. It was interestingly more about the design of it at the time.
It was bigger. Do you remember?
Well, this is a duo, right?
Yeah, that's a duo.
So it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Like this is bigger than the original bar.
Yes, but the original bar was wider. I mean, it's all part of shrinkflation.
Yeah.
But the original bar was wider.
Yes.
But the reason they were bigger was when we were kids growing up, you're lucky if you got one a week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now I can get you a Yorkie 24/7. This is the problem.
There's that.
You're not sharing that.
You're more than welcome. But I feel like is it awful to ruin our appetite?
No, it's fine. You just eat in reverse. It's been a while since I've had a Yorkie.
Mm-hmm. In truth. At least nice chocolate. I've been living in America the last while, so I know non-American chocolate is good.
Yeah. Because what is it about Americans and chocolate?
They put
They don't
sugar in it.
But they just don't understand what it's supposed to taste like.
No, or crisps.
Well, they don't even know what to call those.
No.
Because they call them chips.
This is good.
They call them chips.
Yeah.
Whereas our chips are their French fries. It can get very confusing.
You can see why they're having so many problems.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you and your lovely wife, who's also been a guest on here, and lived out there you were out there for quite a while, weren't you?
Well, we met there, and we were.
Well, you tried. I mean, and I have to say, your choice of lure or early date. I mean, bowling. Would you like to go bowling?
I wanted to see if she was good on her feet.
Oh.
But her balance is up.
But were you surprised when on 3 offers of bowling she'd said no?
She's not the first woman to turn me down, and she won't be the last.
Christ. Hold on. Sorry, Don. Somebody's come out here.
I think why was it was interesting. I got in touch with Dawn. I knew Dawn off the telly because she'd watched her docs and been a big fan of him. And I was in LA and I didn't really know anybody. And I had asked Nick Frost, who's an actor who I had worked with and was a good pal, if he knew any pals in town at the time. And he said, oh, you should look up Dawn. And so I friend requested her on Facebook. But my Facebook avatar is an old Floridian woman and has been forever.
Remains that way.
And I don't know why. And so she kept turning down the request because she just had no idea who I was. Like she thought I was, so, you know.
But then she actually got to
She didn't know if I was a real person, I think.
Oh, what?
Then
Because of the Floridian woman.
yes, because it's like, what's going on here? Like, would you like to go bowling?
I mean,
What are you talking about?
see, I mean, were you trying to kind of de-sexualize the whole invitation with bowling?
I think I was being more like, hey, look at us being all American.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
because we were
I'm
like,
embracing
we're
the culture.
visitors, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
all that kind of jazz. But we never went bowling in the end.
No.
Still haven't.
Because you ended up with her 30th birthday. Was it her
Yes.
30th birthday?
So she turned down the bowling request, but then she was having a 30th, and she hadn't been in LA long, so she didn't know that many people, and then she was worried that nobody would show up. So she said, "Hey, why don't you come along to my 30th and bring your friends?" And so I turned up, and she was half cut already. I was coming from some other party, and she was dancing with her dad, who had flown over, and there was her dad's like this big gorgeous Scottish man, looks like the front of a porridge package, you know, and there was a bagpiper there and stuff, and it was good crack, and I think so we hung out that night, but anything happened, and then I think I started asking her to go bowling
Again.
and she said, I won't go bowling, but I'll go for dinner or whatever,
Yeah, take me for dinner.
and then she wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah, well, you know, but
It's
it's worked.
been nearly 15 years.
It's worked out all right.
It's been great.
But Dawn sort of described this lovely thing where your home in LA sort of became a drop-in center for waifs and strays visiting.
Yeah.
And you know, because she's a good cook
Yeah, great club.
and currently training for something. Might see her cooking soon. But you know, this Sundays at yours.
Yeah.
She talked about with great sort of affection and
She's so
passion
good at
during
that.
the-
She loves Sunday dinners, and we love having people over. So yeah, we would have kind of 15 or 20 people over most Sundays, and she'd cook a big thing. Maybe some people bring things. And at the time, we were living in this lovely little house and had a pool out the back, so it was it was great.
But you enjoyed those years a lot.
Yeah, I loved it.
You know, because I mean, you're out there, the career is blossoming.
Yeah.
You're appearing in great movies, getting great roles.
Yeah.
What was the downside for you? Because it sounds to me like you know, this young Gaelic footballer arrives in California and his life is going fantastically well. He's got a woman he loves. He's got this thing, but then you decide to up sticks and
Come back. Well, I think it's great for people in their 20s and 30s, and I think I just don't know if it was great for kids. As in, we had kids, and it just felt like I think we wanted to raise them here or in Ireland or something. So it was more that than anything else. And Dawn wasn't wild about it after a while, and
because I think it
it
was
was
one
pretty
of,
far away. You know what it was as well, Mark? I think during the pandemic, we suddenly felt really far away.
yeah,
Like it's like, oh, we can't get to people.
and if any of them,
Exactly.
you know,
All that.
yeah.
And that was disconcerting.
Because how often do you go back?
Oh, I'm back every probably 5 or 6 weeks. I spent most of like as the show that would eventually whatever and talk about. Well, I was there for most of last year, which was great. So I could go home a good bit and see my folks and all of that.
Because this new show, you've written, directed the whole thing.
No, I've directed the first 2 episodes, and then we've got another 2 sets of directors.
Those are the only 2 I've seen. They're beautifully directed. Thank you. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, and they're beautifully directed. And
Well, you should see the other one.
but you know, whether it's Moon Boy or whatever, you bring it home.
Yeah. So this one, the Small Town Big Story, is kind of set probably an hour north of where I'm from.
That's the title, just in case anyone's wondering. It is Small Town
Small Town Big
Story.
And then we shoot some of it.
And it's
boil.
available. It's coming out on Sky Atlantic.
Available to watch on Sky and Now TV.
Yeah.
Right now, which is exciting. And it's kind of, shall I give you the basic premise of the show?
You can give them the basic premise of the show.
It's a small town, not unlike my own, on the border of Ireland and another world.
Just want to ask you
Yes.
very quickly, did you base it in a fictitious town because after Moon Boy they didn't want you back? Because the first one was Moon Boy, which was fantastic, was based in Boyle,
Yes.
which, taking it home.
Yes.
Whereas this time round, Boyle's mentioned a lot, but it doesn't take place in Boyle.
No, but I thought it would be fun to...
Drumban.
Drumbone.
Trombone, sorry, I forgot the accent.
That's all right. Which in Irish would mean White Ridge.
Yeah.
And there is this White Ridge in this town. I felt like I was taking so many liberties with the physicality of the place that I couldn't say, oh, it's this place. Because people would go there and go, it doesn't look like it.
No.
So I went down the Brian Friel route and created my own little Ballybeg. And so it's a fictitious town that's based on two towns on the border of Fermanagh and Leitrim.
Yeah.
And then it's this big TV show comes to film there, like a Game of Thrones type show, but about Celts. And it throws the town into disarray a little bit. and the producer of this show, which is played wonderfully by Christina Hendricks, is originally from the town, but left as a teenager when her parents got divorced. And now she's coming back. And she's got some bad memories.
And as my father always used to say, they don't like the ones who leave.
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you capture that quite nicely in that character, and she does it brilliantly well. Christina Hendricks, who people would know from Mad Men and various other things, but that the sort of painful bit of returning for her, it's a nice dynamic in all of it, and what I loved about the shows that I saw, the two that I've seen that you directed and were very beautiful and well done and congratulations, is there's not a throwaway character in any of it. All the characters have something and a little twist to them and a little extra element. And the other thing that you capture beautifully is that Irish conversation, how it takes place round a table.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Proctor family, their conversations, I mean, it just reminds me of my table.
Oh, good.
Because nothing was off the table in terms of what we could insult you about, but it goes back to what you were saying about, supporting your friend. There's a warmth in being dreadful to each other.
Yes. Well, because it displays at least that you care.
Yeah.
There is a lack of apathy. That's what I like. The lack of apathy. If I'm slagging somebody, they know that there's no apathy here. There's like...
Well, we always used
it
to
might
say,
be resentment or contempt.
people would come to my house as a child and walk away going, geez, that's a tough table. But I go, it's if we're being nice to you need to worry.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. But if you're not used to it, it doesn't seem affectionate at all.
No. And I have to say, like, the other side of that is when you're used to that and you end up in, for whatever reason, a very corporate American environment, they don't enjoy it at all.
No.
Do you ever see those posts that went out, like, where they talk about, like, nicknames that people end up with for years because of something that happened in the past? I love all that.
Oh, yeah. There's those Australian guys who do it on TikTok, and it's like,
I haven't seen those particular ones. There was one I remember reading. There was a guy, he said, I'm in my 50s, right? And I have been called the same nickname since I was a teenager, and I bumped into a couple of friends on the street when I had just happened to buy 3 pairs of trousers. And ever since, I have only been known as Spider. Because I had 3 pairs of trousers at the same time.
Excuse me, but the evidence of my flu is coming back on that one. But did you have a nickname?
Pelican.
Pelican?
Yeah.
What was that based on?
Big mouth, big legs.
And do you still have friends who call you Pelican?
Every now and again, some of the football lads on my Boyle WhatsApp group. So funny now when you get to this age, they're all like, listen, we need funding for the GA club or whatever. Yeah. It's like they all run the place now, but it's like Yeah, there is like, hey, Pelican. It's always, they're beyond that. The old WhatsApp groups from the lads.
So this is. I mean, you've had your own production company. Was it Hot Cod?
Mm-hmm.
What was behind that name?
You know, when Dawn and I started going out, she was called Hot Patooties.
Yes. It's still. I think
Still
it's
is.
still her Instagram handle, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
social
It might be
handle.
the name of the company, her company, or whatever. And I said, oh, we should do something together, and we'll have Cod, Chris O'Dowd, and Hot from your Hot Patooties thing.
Yeah.
And she says, it's great. And so I registered it, and she said, you know what, I actually don't want to do it. And so we never actually did anything together, but that's why it's called Hot Cod.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's been successful for you. What I love is the kind of, although there's many different roles which you play and many different hats that you wear. There's a bit of you going through all of it, and that's not saying that there's no kind of flexibility or diversity in how you perform, but there's a warm familiarity to what you bring.
Yeah.
To
I'm not a transformative actor, really. I mean,
No.
and it's not
no,
necessarily.
but the success of Get Shorty.
Yeah.
I mean that's a different role entirely. But if you look at where that came from, the John Travolta film,
Yeah.
and you do give it a sort of warmth that he didn't have.
Well, I think, to be honest, I'm not drawn to the most part. Like I played what you call it, Lenny in Mice and Men on Broadway. That was quite a transformative thing. It was great, and it's fun to throw yourself into it for a few months. But I'm too lazy to do that all the time. I'm more drawn to the material, drawn to what is the story that I can get across to an audience. It's interesting to me, rather than me trying to change myself to cater to a role.
But with something like this and the success of Moonboy, do you see yourself first and foremost as a writer or a performer?
Definitely a creator. Like you want to be, or I do anyway, at this point in my life, I'm more interested in being part of the nexus of the creative process.
But also as a performer or actor, it gives you more control.
Yeah.
Which I love about those sort of dusty, smoky, peat stinking pubs is the music.
Yeah.
As well. And in the show, the choice of music is fantastic. I really enjoyed the choice of music, like fiddle versions of Metallica, and stuff like. Were you across all of that in it?
I chose all of the music in it pretty much.
It's brilliant.
And I picked a lot of it while I was writing, and I started writing it when I was in a real, what you call it, COVID bubble in Toronto. I was with the family, but we were kind of locked down while I was shooting the Netflix film, and I started writing it when I was on a bit of a hiatus. So the initial kind of thoughts kind of came to me about what I wanted to happen in the show. And over the course of 2 or 3 days, really, the whole show just kind of came alive to me. And part of it massively was the music. And I could hear all of this. It was probably, I was listening to a lot of, I suppose, kind of jazzy music, but more like brassy. Lots of brassy, big bandy stuff to kind of keep it going up. And it feels somehow there is a cosmic element to my show, and that's so brassy.
Yeah.
Like there's something about the wood or the wind of it all, or the muscularity of it.
Yeah, I was reminded of a series that I loved in terms of, how you obviously, because you were sitting in lockdown, you went deep on the characters. And there was a show on, I think Google made it when they were making drama, called Wayne.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've ever seen Wayne, but it's the same thing where there's not an incidental character in the whole thing. And to take the time and go to the depth, I mean, how long was the writing process for you? Because you say it came together very quickly in your head.
Well, the useful part to that, and I'm really glad that that's how it comes across. This is really interesting because I haven't talked to anybody about the show yet. This is kind of my first stop. And so
You won't get it as good as this again.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
It might be my last.
Yeah, well.
And so it's cool that that's coming across, because I really did put an awful lot of attention into all of the characters, and it was mostly because once it had kind of been accepted, it took ages for us to get going on filming it. And in that period, I thought, I think I'll do proper character arcs, the kind of thing that a writer is always saying, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I could write a whole show about each one of these characters now.
We have got to the time in proceedings where I will be handing you
Okay,
this,
sweet.
which is the Spooning with Mark Wogan blindfold. So if you pop that on, we are going to get your first spoon here. I'm going to clear a space.
Okie doke.
Now, you are completely blindfolded.
Oh, well, that's very efficient, yes.
Here is your first spoon. I will feed it to you,
All right.
but I want you to tell me flavors, textures, open wide. Here we go. Oh, we tried to get a sneaky sniff in there. What have you got there?
So, that's spuds. Oh, it's sausage and mash.
Yeah, sausage
delicious.
and mash with onion gravy. You can
Yeah.
take them. You spotted it straight away. The man is obviously eaten a bit.
I love a bit of sausage and mash.
Well, you love spuds,
I
which
do.
you have to if you're Irish.
Do you know what happened the other day? We bought this house, and I'm not really familiarised myself with the garden yet. And a lot of it at the back is kind of wild. But I was pulling up some weeds the other day. I'm like, these aren't weeds. 4 spuds came out with it. And so there's some orange spuds out the back. And I pulled them in and made some chips out of them. I couldn't believe
Well,
it.
it's almost like
Can I do one?
Yeah, it's yours. It's almost like as an Irishman, you're destined to live there. You've arrived. They're growing spuds in the back in the back garden. This is my spiritual home.
I'm going to keep an eye on them.
Yeah. Do you think was there a kind of keen vegetable grower lived there before?
Dublin woman.
Ah.
Fantastic gardener. Looks incredible at the back.
Because you now live west London, don't
Yeah,
you? I mean, it's
down
still
Richmond Way.
still technically London.
Yes, actually, I don't know if it is. We don't have like a London postcode. TW, is that?
Yeah, that's Twickenham.
Twickenham, yeah.
It's Twickenham.
That's outside London.
Well, but it's still Greater London.
Is it? Oh, yeah,
It's
maybe
still,
it is.
It's still Greater London.
Yeah. And it's all over. And mostly South London, Brixton and Clapham. And then we were living in town for a couple of years. I never really lived up north.
But you like it out there.
I do.
Do you think you'll ever come out further? A bit
Maybe.
further?
I could see it.
You'll have to come out to the cabin in the woods and see where we are. See that? I mean, it's basically a garden.
Lovely. I love the woods. As you can see in the show.
Yeah.
I grew up very much around like wooded area, the beautiful wood out by us in Boyle.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
The doctor's house,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful house, but it's a very un-Irish house, that.
Yeah.
Because normally it's a grey bungalow.
Yeah. I wanted it to feel like a Nordic kind of a thing. I wanted for the audience always to be looking skyward. So I wanted for there to be all of these kind of triangular shapes. So we actually built a whole bunch of that you kind of see in the show.
Yeah.
But I wanted to find a kind of a Nordic, almost hunting cabin in the woods is very, very difficult. And how we did it was interesting because we were looking for a wood. And so we were looking at different forests that we could film in. And then at one point, Peter, our brilliant location scout, asked the guy who was keeping the forester, if he knew any nice places like that. And he says, well, my brother has one. And so it's his brother's house.
Again, very Irish. Sure, my brother has.
Yeah. So that's where we used.
I mean, it's a beautiful house.
Beautiful.
Now, because obviously, as we touched on just a moment ago, you live in London, but your work takes you all over the place. But you've chosen to put down some little working roots coming up in April, haven't you? You're going to be appearing at the Old Vic
Oh, yes.
in The Brightening Air.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to getting back on stage?
Can't wait. Can't wait. Been a couple of years. And I'm looking forward to getting in there. I love the rehearsal room, you know. That's the kind of fun bit. And then the first kind of, I am really looking forward to it. It's a lovely play, Conor McPherson play. I love him as a writer. And we start rehearsals for that real soon.
And great cast again. I mean, because the cast you've put together for the TV show, and you've said that the other thing I liked, which I found interesting actually, was you saying, I love TV.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people would see that as a potential step down from, the heights of Hollywood and all that kind of thing. But over the years, the two have kind of blended in terms of level of, kudos, I suppose.
I think they're different, so it's not even, I like doing bits of everything in the same way that theatre is its own thing. I mean, theatre is much more of for a performer. What is it the thing? They say that film is for the director, TV is for the writers, and theatre is for the actors. And there is the truth in that, I think. But I love.
But you're doing all of them.
I love the immediacy of television.
Could you
I love when
walk-
you make no TV gets made and doesn't get seen.
Yeah, but I mean, is there any chance?
Loads of films do.
Yeah, exactly, and some deservedly, and some undeservedly. But is there any chance you could leave something for somebody else to do? What are you going to be doing next? Burlesque? I mean,
I give it a whirl.
hey, I'm good with a feather. Now, I want you to put that mask back on, because I've got your other spoon here. Pop that back on. I'm going to move that one out of the way and bring this second spoon in. Here we go. Now, I'm just going to pop it back on the spoon. It slightly fell off there. Here we go. Open wide. Here we go. Get all of that. There we go. One whole piece. What are you getting? What can you taste?
Oh, we've got crispiness on the outside.
Getting any other flavors? Any
Breaded fish, I'd say, is a pollock or some kind of
It's a
whitefish.
It's a cod.
Cod.
It's a cod. Goujon.
Really nice. Tasty.
But hold on, you said in your thing you hate fish.
I didn't say I hate fish. I said I'm not mad about fish.
But what is not improved, as I say many times, by deep frying it?
That's absolutely true. And also, white fish, they're barely fish.
Don't tell them that.
But that was really nice.
What were the other flavors? Because there is another element in there. Did you get another flavor?
I'm going to say something like a cumin. Or
See,
is there something,
you've actually got a really good palate.
is it something in that?
It's a curry sauce.
Curry sauce. Yeah, lovely.
Take that off.
Bit of
Take
turmeric
that
or
off.
something,
Yeah. That's the Brick Lane
Oh,
curry
yeah,
sauce.
it's really nice.
Because I think that thing of the whole premise of this is that I believe, outside of an allergy or religious beliefs, there's no such thing as a bad ingredient.
Oh.
So it just hasn't been cooked right for
Oh,
me.
look at that. That looks so good too. Look at how crispy that looks.
Crispy. I mean, the other thing you said you hated was aubergine.
Yeah, I'm not mad about aubergine.
But you see, again, it's one of those things, if it's treated incorrectly, yes, it's slimy and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And, but if you salt it properly, you degorge it properly and then cook it properly, it's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it should be something I like. Because it's got that smokiness, doesn't it? That you've got in this little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Although this isn't peachy.
No, that's just a blackbush. The other thing that you've got down here, I've got this down here, the thing you hate the most.
Oh, yeah.
Vodka. What? But hold on.
Oh, on its own. Oh, my God.
You don't have to drink it. It's
not compulsory.
I do.
Can't smell it. I don't
You see,
think I can't smell.
I can smell that. Why can't you? Is it because you can only smell the alcohol in it?
No, maybe that is
You
it.
see, I would know that was vodka from smelling it.
Yeah, I guess I would too when you really put your nose in.
Yeah. But I mean, if you've got a major drink problem,
But if you were to have
if
that
you've
with a
got a
ton-
major drink problem, which at one point I did, obviously, it's a great drink because nobody can smell it on you. Look, Chris, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to do the show and for being such a sport. Because as we discovered just before filming, Chris didn't know he was going to be blindfolded.
I had an idea. It was just gone out of my head.
Yeah. You should talk to your wife more.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would have been able to tell you what goes on here. She hid that from you. But it's been such a pleasure having you on. The show is out to watch now. Tell us this title again.
Small Town, Big Story,
Small
available
Town, Big
to
Story.
watch on Now TV or Sky.
Yeah, and it is fantastic. And, if it wasn't, I just wouldn't have talked about it.
Thanks, man.
But I love it. I thought it was great. And I'll be looking for some house tickets for the Brightening Air in April.
Great.
As well.
You're
'Cause I'd
good.
love
We're
to
good
come
at
and
it.
see that. But thank you so much for taking part. That is, of course, all for this week. I will be joined again next week by another very special guest. Big thanks to the team here at Mount Street and, of course, to Jamie Shears for his culinary efforts. I think our guest liked what he had to eat. He's going to be taking a couple of Yorkie bars home with him. But if you like what we're doing here, search us out at Spooning with Mark Wogan across your social media. And we are also available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts from. But until next week, stay beautiful.